This podcast is supported by MIDI Health. Are you in midlife, feeling dismissed, unheard, or just plain tired of the old healthcare system? You're not alone. In fact, even today, 75% of women seeking care for menopause and perimenopause issues are left entirely untreated. But it's time for a change. It's time for MIDI. MIDI's not just a healthcare provider. It's a women's telehealth clinic founded and supported by world-class leaders in women's health. Their clinicians provide one-on-one, face-to-face consultations where they truly listen to your unique needs. They offer a full range of holistic, data-driven solutions that isn't one-size-fits-all care. This is care uniquely tailored for you. At MIDI, you will find that their mission is clear: to help all women thrive in midlife, giving them access to the healthcare they deserve. Because they believe midlife isn't the middle at all. It is the beginning of your second act. Ready to feel your best and write your second act script? Visit joinmidi.com today to book your personalized, insurance-covered virtual visit. That's joinmidi.com. MIDI, the care women deserve.
From Estero, Florida, this is a One Extraordinary Marriage show, where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. Creators of the 6 Pillars of Intimacy, I'm Tony DeLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call or text us on the Hug Hotline at 858-876-5663, or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In today's episode, we're talking about how to deck the halls while handling the holiday stress and drama that comes up during this time of year.
And there's an anonymous quote that says, "The holidays don't cause stress. They just turn up the volume." And I think that's something, as we're talking about decking the halls and dealing with the drama, it's just something to think about, right? You know, when we're in this pressure cooker of a period of time, 4 weeks, it can turn up the volume on all of the different things that are going on, the decisions we make and how we react to them. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. But first, we start every episode with a hug. And, over the years, the hug has really become such a beautiful opportunity to share the breakthroughs that you all have had in your marriage, the intentionality that you bring to your marriage, and just where you're seeing transformation. And this hug comes from a DM that we received that said, "I finally had a chance to dive into your book and read it over Thanksgiving, and I just left a 5-star review on Amazon. I will tell you, my wife and I have had some rough seasons in our marriage that we have finally had the time to work through. We could so relate, as my wife would bottle everything up and I would want to deal with everything immediately, and she would not. The physical intimacy part was the one that I got emotional over. That part was lacking in our marriage, and that was really hurtful to me. Granted, I did a lot of things to hurt my wife that were more damaging. By God's grace, we are living proof God can heal any marriage. I'm looking forward to recommending this book to my clients."
I love it. And thank you for the 5-star review. But more importantly, the impact it had on your marriage and for what it's going to do as you continue to grow together. We all have our moments and times, our seasons, our valley points, and yet we can still walk hand in hand, climb to the summit together, and rejoice and be glad in the time and the effort and the growth that each of us has to creating our extraordinary marriage. So thank you so much for this.
Absolutely. As Tony said at the top of this episode, we're talking about how to deck the halls while handling the holiday stress and drama that comes up this time of year. And I find it ironic so often that you'll go out, you'll see Christmas displays, you'll be out in stores, and the word joy or the word peace is everywhere, right? But for so many people, there is not a whole lot of joy and not a whole lot of peace in this month of December, holiday season, the time between literally, I think it starts Thanksgiving to New Year's.
I would even say we were seeing Christmas stuff up at Halloween. We were.
But does it start causing the stress at Halloween?
I don't know. I mean, Halloween could cause, if people are, what I'm saying is, I think it's been, it adds another month.
Oh, sure.
Which all of a sudden starts to add, for some, for others of us, it's sort of like, okay, I'm going to just not look at it or not deal with it,
Yeah, ignore
which is
it.
more my stance on some of this stuff. It's like I just ignore it and move on until I feel like it's time for me to engage with that holiday. But I would say that's what I saw it sort of popping up this year.
Do you feel like it's time for you to start engaging with this holiday? That was such a good statement. I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, where are you? Are we ready to engage?
Am I?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I think the day after Thanksgiving is when I begin to go, okay, it's now Christmas time.
Okay.
And this is the season where, it's about, number one, it's about the birth of our Lord and Savior.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get my mind to that. And yet it's like, all right, we had our Thanksgiving, we had the turkey, we got to watch the football games, we did all of that sort of stuff. Now it's Christmas time. And then once Christmas is over, then it's sort of like, okay, now let's jump into the new year. I'm very...
So what Tony's trying to tell you all is that we are not the November 1. It is the day after Halloween. Put your Christmas tree up.
No.
Like that is not us. God bless you if that's you. It's just not our family. Especially because we have a birthday that comes right after Thanksgiving with our daughter. And so I even ask her every year, when do you want the Christmas tree up? Because we won't take away from her birthday if she doesn't want the tree up before her birthday.
Yeah.
And so, this is just a little bit about what's been going on here. But what I've been hearing in a lot of my coaching sessions, and I don't know what it is about this year, but I'm very sensitive to what people are talking about, to just some of the themes, the energy that I start feeling in my coaching sessions. And this year, it literally feels as if a switch got flipped right after Thanksgiving and people's stress meters have gone through the roof, right? Like it's pegging a lot higher this year. And I know Thanksgiving was late, so it feels like you've got a few less days. And, given that Thanksgiving rotates, this year you do. We are about in the tightest window that we have. So I know that's part of it. But it's also just, what are those stresses that people are already thinking about and dealing with? And what does that that mental energy that starts to go, okay, this is going to happen. And, so we asked the one family, it's been a little while since we've done some of our polls on Instagram, but we put a poll up on Instagram question that said, hey, what causes the most stress for you during the holidays? And I know so many of you are going to relate to these. Some of the responses we got, not having the budget for the gifts we want to get. Mm-hmm. Working full-time and raising 3 kids and zero energy left for each other. Mm-hmm. Unexpected expenses. The in-laws. Lack of sex drive when all of this is going on. Our work schedules aren't syncing. Feeling stretched thin across too many commitments. This is a big one right now. I am hearing about schedules like the Christmas activity schedule deal is like off the charts. Having to buy presents and who we're buying presents for. And then there's all those unvoiced expectations. And what was really interesting in reading this list is, I think so many people are going to relate to it, but 2, we totally relate to it. And it's that underlying tension that can really rob you of joy and rob you of peace and create so much drama. Because when you're in that state of all of those things going on, you can get into resentment. You can get into a lot of conflict. And when that stress hits, I mean, there are certain responses that are pretty typical. Like I talked about this in the 6 pillars of intimacy, conflict resolution, where we talk about some of those, stress responses to conflict and what's going on. And we asked you, what do you do? Because again, I don't necessarily always need to go to, what Dr. Google says. I want to know what's happening in the one family. And 33% of you said that when you're in that stressful situation, you're going to freeze up. You're going to shut down. You're going to withdraw. You're going to get looking like an iceberg, if I can give you a visual of what that looks like. 23% of you say you blow up. You'll fight. You'll yell. You'll explode. The icon for this one would be the volcano or the emoji. I'm like, this is the volcano emoji. 11% of you say you'll laugh it off. You try and lighten the mood. This is the, rolling on the floor laughing emoji. And then 32% of you say that you'll talk it out. You'll process and plan. But if you look at the numbers, like 33 and 23 becomes 56, which means that more than half of you are in this place of either getting, really cold, withdrawn, and shut down, or blowing up, which means that there's a lot of conflict and a lot of tension, and that pattern is going to impact all of your pillars of intimacy, but very specifically, I will tell you this time of year, because I heard it in some of the responses, your emotional intimacy and your sexual intimacy. And I think we've seen that ourselves over the years.
Yes. When you look at this,
Tony's in deep thought here.
I am when I'm in very deep thought. When you look at these four, where would you say you land? What are the two that you would say you do most?
As far as the stress response?
Yes.
I know historically, I have been in the freeze up or blow up. I am either a volcano or an iceberg. And you don't think
when are you a volcano?
I think when I get short with people, like it's not like this big eruption, but I will rage clean. I will like get irritated and have a much shorter fuse.
This entire year, I think there's only one time that you ever like yelled at me. Okay.
I am so glad that we record our conversations, because 2025 is clearly going down as a banner year. Because if I have gotten through, let's see, this episode is going to come out on December 9th.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
That's amazing.
And the only reason, and this is the one I remember this year, it came with stress, was because of I was saying something to Abby, and Abby and I got into it, and then I walked away. I basically did a freeze up on that one because I was like, I'm done. I'm walking out of here.
I do remember that.
And then I came back in, kids were gone, and then you like railed on me.
So I specifically thought you were asking the question about the holidays.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the holidays, if we just look at, let's just look at.
Because I thought we were
yes,
of like.
Yeah, holidays.
I appreciate that. I appreciate knowing that you only have one memory of me blowing up this entire year.
Yeah, that's the only one I remember.
Pretty accomplished.
Okay, so for the holidays.
I think I fall into those two.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And I think
Thank you.
But even
I'm glad I know myself.
Even when you said like the blow up, it may not come out as you exploding or yelling. The word you said there was you rage clean or something, and that is true. And I've never heard you say that. But now
I borrowed it from a coaching client.
Okay.
I can't take credit.
But
for that.
now I'm like, oh yeah, because you freeze up, you basically go silent, and then you just clean. And even if I say, hey, do you want me to help you with something or anything? No. You're like, I'm fine. Don't bother me. And I'm like, okay, well then fine. I'm going to sit here on the couch and watch football, which I do feel guilty doing.
Do you? Do you really?
Yeah.
Do you really feel guilty?
I do. Oh. I'm like, why should I be doing something? See, for me, I'm a laugh it off guy. I'm going to try and lighten the mood. I want to it's all good. Don't sweat it. Like there are bigger things in life than this right now. So I will try and laugh it out and try to get Elisa to smile and do something, or then I'm going to talk it out her, which then gets her even more into leave me alone. I want to clean.
Tony actually loves it when I rage clean because our
house actually gets clean.
I do not enjoy cleaning my house.
I don't.
I do it, but I don't enjoy it. And so when I'm rage cleaning, this is just a funny little fact. When I'm rage cleaning, it is one of those things where I will just literally go on a tear and the house looks amazing. And so he's just like, maybe he does feel guilty, but he loves the results. We digress.
I just wanted to know where you were. But yes, that's what I feel what happens.
That's funny that we're on both sides of kind of not funny. It's actually very telling for our marriage.
Just telling how two people married 29 years can have a lot of similarities, which I believe we do. There are many things that we love doing together. There are things that we have come to enjoy together that make us who we are as Tony and Elisa. And yet there are things that are hardwired the way God has made us. I'm not you and you're not me.
Thank God. Literally.
You know what I mean? But that's just, it's that ebb and flow, and it's that tension we live in marriage at times. And even in the joyous season of the year, or at least we're told that.
Yes.
Which is the celebration of the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And yet there can still be drama and issues that we face.
Well, I think what's interesting about you asking me that question, where do you fall? And some of you are even thinking, oh, I should probably ask my spouse that question. Absolutely. And, part of what came out of just having this, virtual conversation with people on Instagram is getting into this place of, well, if you could change one thing about your spouse and how your spouse handles the holidays, right? If you could change one thing about how your spouse handles the holidays, what would it be?
Okay.
And I think this is important just coming off of you asking me that, because it's like, how do you react? But then it's also like, well, what could be different?
Correct.
And I think getting into some of these responses really starts to highlight of where change is possible and what people are looking for. They might not come right out and ask it until an episode like this, but like some of you want your spouse just to simply talk more, right? Have the conversations with me, put less pressure on ourselves. This is a big one when it comes to like all the family expectations and, that type of thing. Be a better team. Stick up for one another around the family. Prioritize us. That one came up. Some variation of prioritize us, enjoy our time together, spend time with me, that type of thing came up repeatedly in the responses.
And it's something we have talked about almost from episode 1, or probably from episode 1 when you talk about our 60-day sex challenge and you had that moment with God in the laundry room. And basically God was just saying, Tony doesn't want anything more than to prioritize the marriage. And if we can prioritize the marriage, everything else will flow.
Actually, it was Tony doesn't want you to do anything else than put him first, then make the marriage a priority.
Yes.
So it wasn't about like, God wasn't speaking to me about what you wanted or about what you wanted me to do, right? Like, but it was him speaking to me about what I needed to do. And there's a difference because
Big difference.
It's like how I show up versus what you're needing.
And I say that now, but I don't think in 18 years ago, I was like, ooh, we need to prioritize our marriage by any stretch of the imagination. So maybe that was more of what I'm saying now. But back then that was not at the top of my list. The top of my list was like, I just want to have sex with you. So.
And here we are all these years later.
Yep.
A few of the other comments, tolerate my family or the family. Have a plan and stick with it. Recognize when I'm feeling anxious. Help buying the gifts. Sometimes it's just the little things, right? Like help buying the gifts. And what I found so beautiful about all of those statements is that, these were real requests from the one family, right? I'm not making this up. It's getting into this place of saying, hey, I don't want things to be perfect, but I do want to be your partner. I want us to do this season together because it will actually bring us closer together. And, we want to talk about how to pull this all into an actionable plan. We're going to do that after this break.
DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse, is the one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. With sneakers, boots, and everything in between for every style, mood, and occasion, you'll definitely find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. DSW has what you need, but more importantly, they have what you didn't even know you wanted. You never know what you'll find at DSW. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or DSW.com. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.
We're back. And we've been talking about the drama and the stress that can come with the holidays year after year and what people want and what you can do about it, right? Like we just heard all of those statements about, like I want to talk more. I want to be prioritized. I want us to enjoy time together. I want us to have a plan, those types of things. But that's all well and good. Those are great statements. I'm not going to lie. Those are great statements. As a coach, yes, do those things or talk about it. But how are you going to implement it? What is the action behind it? I don't know. For those of you that have been listening for a while, I couldn't tell you how many times on a podcast episode Tony has said, just be intentional and take action. It is, probably when Tony dies, that's probably what's going to be on his, grave marker. He said, be intentional and take action.
Other than I don't want to be buried in a grave.
Well, I know, but it was...
That is in my will.
It'll be on your urn.
Okay, it'll be on my urn.
It'll be on your urn.
Okay, there you go.
Can I put it on your urn?
You can put it on my urn.
He said, be intentional and take action.
That's saying I die before you.
Also true.
Sorry, I took you off track there.
I don't know what... Stick with me with the be intentional and take action, will you please?
I will.
Thank you. But so you've got to have these conversations, and it might be in your best interest in terms of setting the two of you up for success to actually set aside time, like have your team huddle, right? So many of you talked about wanting to be on the team. You might have to, those of you that have athletes, you know what I'm talking about. The coaches get the team together in a huddle, and that's where it's like, hey, what's our immediate game plan right in front of us? So have a holiday team huddle, right? Bring everybody together, talk through what's on the calendar, what's on the gift list, what are the expectations, and get everybody talking, right? You've all talked about this. Decide what actually matters, right? Just because you've done something for the last 10 years in a row doesn't mean that you need to do things this year, especially if it's going to cause more stress, especially if it's going to create fights between the two of you. It is well documented that I absolutely love receiving Christmas cards from friends. I do not send Christmas cards. I don't. It is one of those things that causes me a tremendous amount of stress in terms of coordinating and things like that. And so I laid down the Christmas cards, right? But, other people are like, we do not miss the Christmas lights. Like when we lived in San Diego, there were a few key places and neighborhoods. We have not duplicated that here in Southwest Florida. It's a little more challenging. I don't know why. I do miss seeing the Christmas lights. But not to the point where I'm going to go like, Tony, you have to find me someplace to go see Christmas lights. It's like, I can drop it. But for some of you, that might be the thing.
Well, in the season you're in, last night we had our monthly live workshop with our Intimacy Mastery folks. And if you're interested in learning more about Intimacy Mastery, go to intimacymastery.com. Love to have you join us there. We got tons of resources that you can actually use from each episode and put into action. Like you can print them out. We got all these great printables in there for you. We have our live workshop. We have a community. So there's so much in there. But we were talking about this last night and how, decide what really matters to you. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it was, what season of life are we in and what's going on? And interestingly enough, many different dynamics in how people see things. Mm-hmm. In one couple who's like, we're sort of laid back, where you could tell others were a little more like, nope, that's not the way it's going to happen. Yeah. And so it's interesting to be in those places to see there are differences. Mm-hmm. And we all have our own little nuances to how we see the season and what matters.
Like in our house, Christmas jammies, matching Christmas jammies for the guys and girls. That's the thing.
Yeah, it matters to some people in our family.
It matters to 3 out of 4.
Yes.
The one on the other side of the microphone, it doesn't matter to. But he humors everybody.
I do.
We love you for it. Another thing to be discussing in this place, especially as we're talking about the drama and how to minimize it, is, establishing those guardrails or the boundaries with family before you show up. Not like as you're walking through the door and like whispering back over your shoulder, but really discussing, you all know where the push points are. You know where things have a tendency. You know how much time is too much time with family and relatives. You know who's most likely to shoot off their mouth. You know those things. This is your family or your spouse's family. And so establishing, hey, how are we going to handle this before we go into the situation? What's our game plan? Coming back to your holiday team huddle, right? Like, what does that look like? Because now we feel prepared. Mm-hmm. We're not being reactive. You're being proactive, and you can actually establish. I remember years ago, Tony and I have done this, with family, Tony, big Italian family, especially when we were younger, we would have a game plan for like, how do we exit? Right. We would talk about that. We've done it with holiday parties. We're like, what's the signal? When we're like, all right, we're done. And it might just be that, like you come up and you're like, hey, when I like wrap my arm around you and I pull you in close, that's going to be the sign, right? But you can do this and you can be subtle, but you can do it in such a way that keeps the unity between the two of you without creating all kinds of chaos in the family.
Sometimes it always doesn't work out exactly the way you plan, 100%. And your signals may not be conveyed as you thought they would be. And so that's where we have to have grace and understanding. And sometimes we have cracks in our emotional intimacy in those mm-hmm. moments. And I will say, Elise and I have had those many of moments where it's like, it's time to go. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm good. Like, we're having a good time. And so it is understanding and working through those together. I'm not going to say it's always perfect. I wish it could be. But one of the things I would say is, if it's your family that needs to be talked to, then you talk to them. You don't have your spouse talk to them. In an instance, for us, especially when we lived in Southern California, my dad was still alive, kids were younger, it was expected of us to go to my parents' house on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. That was an expectation. When Abby was born in November, roughly a little less than a month before Christmas, Elisa was very clear, like, I am not spending the night up there. We have a baby, brand new daughter, and I want to wake up on Christmas morning in my home. It was in my job to let my parents know. And was it an easy conversation with them? No. My dad loved Christmas. He wanted to see his grandchildren. And yet I was the one who had to call mom and dad and be like, hey, just FYI this year, this is what we are doing. And did I have to take a brunt for it and have to address it with them and talk through it with them? Yes. My parents have been understanding. They are wonderful parents. I couldn't ask for better parents. And yet there was still some disappointment, and I could hear it in my dad's voice, which, I don't like hearing. I didn't like hearing that then. And I wouldn't want to hear it now from my dad, that disappointment. It still holds a lot. And yet, as the husband of my home, I had to stand firm and just say, Dad, I hear you. I love you. And we will still see you, but it's going to just be on Christmas Day when we arrive.
Or, which is what everybody did, you can come down, because they came down.
Oh, that year they ended up coming down, didn't they?
We opened our home. We're like, hey, you can still see everybody and you can come down. But like, because I was postpartum. I was like less than a month postpartum on Christmas. And so I remember you inviting your parents and you're like, okay, well, we're not going, but we're going to have a house full. And I'm like, all right, like that's the alternative, right? And sometimes you have to make those compromises. But in all of that, one of the strongest encouragements I can give the two of you is to make time for just the two of you.
Yes.
In these weeks leading up to Christmas. One of the things that I've seen year in and year out is that people's schedules can get so busy with everybody else that the two of you lose sight of one another until early January. Right? Where, or maybe it's when you're sitting on the couch Christmas morning and you're both like, oh, hey, haven't seen you in a few weeks. I was talking with a couple the other day, and, their regular babysitter with all the Christmas activities, she's busy and all the kids, all this stuff going on. And I just looked at them and I said, I don't know if your schedule would allow for this, but could you guys grab lunch together a couple times this month? And it's not the same as your regular Friday night dates, but could you grab lunch? Could you grab breakfast after the kids go to school and just adjust your work days? And again, not everybody has that kind of flexibility, but it's thinking outside the box, because making the time for the two of you, I can't stress as a marriage coach how important that is in the month of December, because this is a month where a lot of couples struggle. This is a month where there is a lot of drama. This is a month where you need to know that the person that you're married to sees you, hears you, and values you. And that can only be done through the gift of time.
Yeah. And you know what? Let's deck the halls and let's drop the drama this month. How's that? What would it look like? What would it feel like if you guys just went through those 4 and just said, hey, how can we do this in our marriage this month? And even into the new year. What would this look like? Because even once Christmas dies off and is done and is finished, there's a New Year's. And I know for many of you, you like to go out, you want to go do something. There's the parties, there's what's ahead. But here's the thing, folks. Is it the first or second Tuesday of January?
The first Tuesday.
First Tuesday in January of a new year is the highest date of divorces being filed. And for us, that means something. And what we want to do is equip you to be intentional and take action now, so you are not at that point, or your spouse isn't at that point where they decide to file. Because here at One Extraordinary Marriage, we're fighting for marriages. We want to see you have the extraordinary marriage. We want to see you implement and use the 6 pillars of intimacy in your marriage, and so that you can have the extraordinary marriage you desire. So go out there this week and take some time to actually do this, because Elisa and I are too. We don't just say it and just walk away from it. We're doing the same thing that we are talking about, so that we are prioritizing our marriage during this season. You guys have yourself a fantastic week. We'll catch you next week. Love you guys. Thank you for listening to the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. If you love this podcast, please leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you are listening. Your review helps others find the show and know that it's the right fit for them and their marriage.